There's one detail to this Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef that I've been dying to discuss, and that's the audience. Kendrick Lamar's audience versus Drake's audience. And Kendrick Lamar says on Not Like Us, the audience not dumb. Shape the stories how you want. Hey Drake, they're not slow.
The audience not dumb. Shape the stories how you want. Hey Drake, they're not slow.
There is a secret ingredient that I believe two artists in mainstream music have mastered better than anyone else. Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift. That secret recipe, Easter eggs.
I lean on you niggas like another line of walk. Yeah, it's all eyes on me and I'ma send it up the pot.
You see, Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift created investigative journalists out of their fan base who treat Easter eggs in music like a scavenger hunt.
I wanted to do something that incentivized fans to read the lyrics because my lyrics are what I'm most proud of out of everything that I do, every aspect of my job. So I really wanted people to read the lyrics.
And we'll talk about that a lot today because a lot of people underestimated Kendrick Lamar's fan base. You think beefing with Kendrick Lamar is scary? His fan base is scarier. There's this narrative. Kendrick Lamar doesn't release enough music. Kendrick Lamar fans aren't getting fed. They're starving.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Even this one right here. Well, y'all Kendrick fans got nothing more to be excited for. And today we are going to put that narrative in the dumpster. It's over with after this video. I'm letting y'all know right now. I'm exposing everything.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
We are discussing attention spans in music, reading comprehension skills in music, and why certain artists and albums live on longer than others. My subject, Kendrick Lamar fans, Drake fans, and Swifties. Yes, I do need the Taylor Swift fans for this, and I'll explain why later. First, let's talk about Easter eggs. Why are Easter eggs important in music? Well, first we have to talk about lyrics.
Really wanted people to read the lyrics.
Adding these hidden messages creates replay value. When you look at a lot of these songs from Kendrick Lamar and the beef, the reason why you play them over and over again is because you can find something new every single listen.
That over there, what's that? What's that? What's that? Does this connect to that?
What the hell was that?
And that creates a longer lifespan for the song, and same could be said for the albums. I think a lot about when Damn dropped. I remember there were storylines and think pieces about the album and how you can play it from track 1 to track 14, or in reverse, you can play it from track 14 to track 1. And I'm like, really? You could play the album backwards and get a different story? And that became a huge discussion. So many people went back and replayed it some more. And there's a journalist that spoke to him about this, and Kendrick Lamar had this to say.
In the beginning with Blood, is that the beginning or the end of the album? Because the end of Duckworth confuses me.
You know I can't tell you that.
Why can't you tell me?
Because it's for the listeners.
I need to know.
I can't. I'll be giving away for the whole world.
Kendrick, I'm pretty sure, is impressed, but also aware that his audience is crazy like this. They're coming up with these conspiracies and fan lores, and it's exciting for him. You can see the smirk on his face.
These stories never happened. If that makes sense to you.
Kind of.
And it drives you nuts. Now you're listening over and over. And yes, what happens with the Kendrick Lamar fan base and the Taylor Swift fan base is that the fans, they look way too deep into things, and sometimes they'll give the artist too much credit. It's to the point where the artists are probably like, yeah, I meant that. Nah, you ain't really mean that. But that's the power of having a fan base that can come up with think pieces and video essays, all of that stuff. It makes it more entertaining for the fans, but it also heightens the level of genius and aura that these artists possess. And that backfires on Drake during this beef. You know why fans are still talking about this beef and the Kendrick Lamar diss tracks? Is because there's so many layers to what Kendrick Lamar put on that track. Even the music video. When that video came out, there were so many Easter eggs. Drake lookalike from the Dark Lane demo tapes cover that disappears in the darkness. Drake having a song called Push-Ups and Kendrick doing push-ups in the music video. Even the part where Kendrick says, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. The hand signals that he does.
In the cut with my twin, we be vibing.
The part where Kendrick Lamar says trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor, and he dances over the hopscotch drawing, which is a little kid's game.
A minor.
And what this does for artists like Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift, it puts the fan base on their toes at all times.
A minor.
No, this nigga not playing hopscotch.
What you mean?
Probably A minor, and then you play hopscotch. You know what I'm saying? For the kids.
In my last video, I established a line between casual music listeners and music junkies, and I made it clear that it is okay to be both. You do not have to be crazy like the Kendrick Lamar fans and the Taylor Swift fans to be validated in your music opinion.
I think that it is perfectly reasonable for people to be normal music fans and to have a normal relationship to music, but if you want to go down a rabbit hole with us, come along.
Taylor is
the
your
water's
person.
great.
Yeah.
It is very entertaining when you fall in these rabbit holes, which is why the Kendrick Lamar reaction videos, one thing I noticed on YouTube, anyone who put out a Kendrick reaction video, the views were through the roof, more than Drake reaction videos. And that's because the Kendrick reaction videos are just more fun. It's fun looking at other creators and finding clues through their lens.
He got the owl caved up.
Like I own you.
Like I said, investigative journalist, and Kendrick Lamar has given his fan base the freedom of interpretation, right? Leaving things up for them to have conversations about these things, make their mind wonder. Think pieces are okay. It's okay to think. And Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift and a few other artists that prioritize lyrics and storytelling, they push that to the forefront, even in mainstream music. And that's another reason why I knew this battle was going to be tough for Drake. Because the moment Euphoria came out, there was so much to pull from. Just the first 10 seconds, you hear a voice and it's in reverse. So you do not know what this voice is saying. And then now we got to re-listen to it. Then we got to put it through some type of filter system. And we find out that that voice at the beginning of Euphoria is Richard Pryor. And that's from the movie The Wiz, where he's pretty much calling himself a phony.
Everything they say about me is true. I'm a phony.
Even the track name, Kendrick mentions Euphoria once, and that's at the beginning of the song.
Euphoria.
And he never mentions it again. All that is to play mind tricks with Drake and get his audience, Kendrick's audience, talking about what it could mean. And obviously, Drake is the executive producer of the show Euphoria, which is about teenagers. And there's a lot of sex and drugs and other elements in that specific show.
Now, there's a couple versions of what happened that night. It all depends on who you ask, and to be honest, I'm not always the most reliable narrator.
And like I said, Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift are masterminds, so I do not put anything past them. Taylor Swift has this one quote about how she can throw out an Easter egg 4, 5, 6 years ahead of time.
Because then I couldn't stop. And then all I started thinking of was, how do I hint at things? Like, how far is too far in advance? Can I hint at something 3 years in advance?
And it's funny because Kendrick Lamar in 2017 on The Heart Part 4, he says, "Don't tell a lie on me, I won't tell the truth about you."
Don't tell a lie on me. I won't tell the truth about you.
And then you fast forward to 2024, and he says this on Euphoria.
But don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you.
The same exact line, which leads me to believe that Kendrick may have been setting this up for years, just waiting on the perfect moment. And again, that is credit to their writing skills. That's what authors do. Authors, they can throw a little Easter egg in one novel and they'll wait until the 3rd edition to revisit that Easter egg. And you see it over and over again, even on a song like America Has a Problem by Beyonce.
Cause I always felt a mission, I slap on me.
Kendrick, he already foreshadows what he wants to do to Drake and his fan base.
His career didn't come with no life insurance. Hope his day one fans got some facts on him.
And again, that smirk, this smirk right here from this interview where Kendrick Lamar is discussing his fans having these debates about what damn could mean in reverse. That smirk, that enjoyment is powerful. It's very telling, actually. And the reason why it's telling is you take this moment right here. Taylor Swift, on her most recent album, she has a song called But Daddy, I Love Him.
Baby, no, I'm not, but you should see your face.
And she says, I'm having a baby. Psych, I'm just joking. I'm not really having a baby. But the reason why she says that is because she's already thinking of what her fans' reactions will be to that moment.
That is the single rudest thing that's ever been done to me. And I'm glad she thinks it's funny.
But the sad truth is, this may be a dying art in mainstream music, right? Because unfortunately, our attention spans are suffering badly. If you look at the attention span back in the early 2000s, like the average attention span of a human 25 years ago, it was about 12 seconds, right? Now, in 2024, the average attention span is 8 seconds. 8 seconds. That means that we have a shorter attention span than a goldfish. And that's why it's important to have these artists and music that can hold your attention through lyrics so that you can continue to immerse yourself in whatever world that artist is presenting before moving on. Because these days, these kids, they just want to call everything mid, classic, or trash on the first listen, and they're already looking for the next thing. This beef also showed me that reading comprehension is suffering as well. And Drake is a huge example of that because his reading comprehension is terrible, and it shows. I noticed that throughout this beef, Drake would reference some of Kendrick's really in-depth storytelling tracks, which I was like, oh no, why is he doing that?
No, God, please, no, no.
Why? Also, good for you, because I bet you while you were doing this research, listening to these tracks, trying to dig up dirt, you were probably like, damn, this is a good song, because I know I would be like that. He mentions Duckworth. He says, your daddy got robbed by Top.
Your daddy got robbed by Top.
And that is a phenomenal way to segue into my next discussion, storytelling in music. Kendrick tells a lot of stories in his music, and because Drake had nothing to pull from, because Drake tried to dig up dirt on Kendrick and came back with no receipts, he had to find something in the music, right? And he mentions Duckworth. Now, before I get to Duckworth, let's get off topic 1 second, right? Because let's get back to Taylor Swift and talk about the power of Easter eggs. Taylor Swift has a song called The Last Great American Dynasty. Taylor Swift tells a story about Rebecca Harkness. Rebecca Harkness, she is one of the most wealthy women to exist in America.
When you sent me the track for Last Great American Dynasty, I had been wanting to write a song about Rebecca Harkness since 2013.
She was dating a man who was also rich. He came up in the oil industry, a lot of money there. And from there, her husband bought a home in Rhode Island, a beautiful mansion. And Rebecca was a bit of a wild girl. She was wild, man. She was having parties, champagne showers. She was living a great life with her besties. But she was driving this man crazy. And everybody was like, yo, she's gonna ruin this man. She's gonna ruin everything that this man built. And eventually, that man suffered a heart attack. Sad. Tragic. She took over the mansion, and she was still wealthy. She was blowing her money left and right. And Taylor Swift tells this story, but in the end, Taylor's like, oh, by the way, I purchased that home. This track was all about her purchasing a home in Rhode Island, but she tells you the backstory. The backstory is so captivating. And then boom, she knocks you out with that bit of information. Now you're like, oh, that's the reason. The setup was the story, and the punchline was her buying the home in Rhode Island. Just the flex. Just the flex.
Country music, it's like, this guy did this, then this woman did this, then they met, and their kid was me.
Totally. Now, there's a reason why I mentioned that. I need you guys to continue to follow with me here, okay? Duckworth. very similar in structure. Kendrick Lamar tells a story about his dad. His dad moved from Chicago with his girl so that they can build a better life for their son. So what does he do? He moves to Compton, California, and he gets a job at KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, okay? Now there's this guy, his name is Top Dog, and Top would always go to this Kentucky Fried Chicken and rob the place. He would rob it. Okay, he had a history of doing that. But then when Kendrick Lamar's dad started working there, he stopped. He stopped. And why did he stop? One time, Top Dog came in to rob Kendrick Lamar's dad. Hold him at gunpoint. Give me all the money. But he didn't do it because Kendrick Lamar's dad offered Top Dog free fried chicken. Who gonna turn down free fried chicken? Huh?
It's chicken. It's fried chicken. It's fried chicken. I like fried chicken.
And Top Dog said, you know what? I like you. I'm not going to rob you. And Kendrick tells that story to say, look at fate.
Top Dog liked your father.
True story.
And did not rob the KFC because of your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're working with Top Dog.
Funny how life is, right?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
that is the craziest story I've ever heard.
Top Dog could have killed my dad at gunpoint when robbing the KFC, and then my dad would have been dead. Top Dog would have been serving life in prison, and then me, I would have died in a gang fight because I would have no dad to give me guidance. I would have no record label executive to sign me, believe in me, and make me the superstar that I am today. Genius. Again, the setups for these two songs are very similar.
Even though it's not till the very end when you spin it around, even though the story is about someone else, I think it's the most revealing thing. I think it's so deeply personal. And it really hits you in the gut when you hear that at the end.
And what that skill does, it makes the fan base listen. It opens our ears, okay? More than just hearing a beat and being like, oh, this is good. Nah, it makes us want to listen because these artists, they're saying something. Just to show you how powerful that is, there's a line in The Last Great American Dynasty where Taylor says, and in a feud with her neighbor, she stole his dog and dyed it key lime green. Just to show you how powerful Taylor Swift lyrics are, I went to her concert. She had a show. It's called the Eras Tour, right? And I was in a parking lot interviewing fans, and there was a fan dressed as the key lime green dog from that song.
I am the key lime green dog from the song Last Great American Dynasty, the neighbor's dog that she stole and dyed lime green. It's a very niche reference.
The creativity there, that's incredible. That is dedication right there. It shows you what lyrics can do. The reason why I bring that up is Kendrick Lamar can put out a 12-minute song and we are going to listen. In fact, when you ask a Kendrick Lamar fan, what is your favorite song? The general consensus will say, Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. One of the greatest rap songs ever. That song is over 12 minutes long. 12 minutes long, but the story is so well done that it feels like 3 minutes. It goes by so fast because you just get captivated by his words. And same thing for Taylor Swift. One of her most popular songs, fan favorite, is All Too Well 10-minute version.
Who thinks that they can put out a 10-minute song? I mean,
we want
clearly
a 10-minute song from you. We want this from you.
Well, thanks.
And some casual music listeners just can't fathom that. And the reason why we can listen to these songs over and over and over again, despite how long they are, is the beauty in reading a book for a second or third time is picking up on details that you missed the first time. And some Drake fans be like, man, shut that shit off, man. I'm trying to party. You know what that narrative reminds me of? Y'all ever seen the movie Matilda? Matilda, all she wanted to do was read her books, but her family was hating on her. They were hating because all her family wanted to do was watch TV. That's it. They just wanted to watch TV. And they would bother her 24/7. Why are you reading? Oh my God, because they're intimidated by her intelligence.
We are eating dinner and watching TV.
And that's why Miss Honey had to swoop in and save that little girl. It's real funny to me. This is probably Drake when he was looking at Twitter and seeing all these Kendrick Lamar fans discussing his lyrics.
What is this trash you're reading?
It's not trash, it's lovely.
This is filth, trash.
And like I said, Drake paid close attention to those storytelling songs that Kendrick Lamar put out because he was trying to dig up dirt through those songs. But again, his own reading comprehension skills backfired on him in this beef because he put out a song called The Heart Part 6. And on that song, he tries to be witty and he mentions the song Mother I Sober. Mother I Sober is a song from Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And on that song, Kendrick Lamar talks about his upbringing and fear, right? Fear from his own mom's trauma. You see, his mom, she was sexually assaulted, and Kendrick was very young when it happened. He was basically powerless, okay? He felt hopeless in those moments. And Kendrick discussed how his mom would always ask him questions like, hey, is your uncle touching you? Is this individual touching you? And Kendrick would always say no, but it would confuse him because all of the questions that he was getting from his family members, thinking that he got touched, it made him lose confidence. It made him lose confidence in himself as a man, all right? And from there, he ends the third verse pretty much reversing a lot of the generational curses. And the only thing he pulls from it is this right here. He says on The Heart Part 6, in reference to Mother I Sober, that's the one record where you say you got molested.
That's that one record where you say you got molested.
Even though he didn't get molested. So now all you really do is offend the people that have been in that situation. And that's the reason why Kendrick Lamar never responded to that Heart Part 6 song, because Kendrick Lamar's fans, they tore that record apart. The moment it came out, that record was diminished because Kendrick Lamar fans took every single line Drake said and pretty much told him, you're wrong. Kendrick didn't even have to do anything. And it goes back to the line in Not Like Us where Kendrick says,
The audience not dumb. Shape the stories how you want. Hey Drake, they're not slow.
He already knew. The job was already done. Again, reading comprehension. One of the main things I love about this, right, is there's young kids out there who didn't listen to Good Kid, Mad City, who didn't listen to Pimp a Butterfly, who were in elementary school when these albums came out. Now they're in high school and they're finally listening to Kendrick Lamar's albums and learning so much about concepts, plot twists, storytelling through his music. And that's very important because we're in a day and age where it's sensory overload. And again, it goes back to what I said about our attention spans. Because it wasn't always like this, especially with the youth, right? Back in the day, like we got to bring the Harry Potter kids back.
You can read one full page of a Harry Potter book, nigga.
Y'all remember that? Remember them books? Them books were like Bibles. Them shits were thick, okay? 700 plus pages. When they would release, there would be a bunch of little kids and their parents in line. Like the kids were fiending for them books. Like look at this footage of the Harry Potter release day from back in the day.
Who's behind this book buying phenomenon?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter 4. Harry Potter 4.
Look how many of these kids are dedicated to reading.
I read the first 3 and I just couldn't wait for the 4th one to come out. I've been counting down.
Well, first thing, because I love to read like long books. Because I like to read long books.
It's all about creating a world, man. Creating a world through storytelling and lyrics. And Charlie XCX mentions this in an interview, and I thought she put it perfectly.
Some artists don't have artistry.
Some artists don't have artistry.
For me, it's like music alone is just not giving me the world. Like, I need an artist to create the world.
And that's why Kendrick Lamar does not need to release albums regularly. Like, when you put out great music, it does last long. Frank Ocean was able to headline Coachella in 2023. His last album came out in 2016. But Blonde was such a great album that his fan base, they were ready. They were ready. If Kendrick Lamar goes away for another 4 years, he can come back, put out an album, and people will be ready because of the substance that you're getting with the music. It's not replicated. You can't make a To Pimp a Butterfly like that. You can't copy and paste this album. You just can't do it. And that's why Kendrick will last long. See, a lot of these artists, they have to put out albums regularly or we will forget about them because there's other artists doing the exact same thing they're doing. And it's exactly like fast food. You look at fast food, you want to know why all of these companies are coming out with $5 deals. You have the McDonald's $5 deal. You have the Wendy's $5 deal. You have the Burger King $5 deal.
McDonald's is unveiling a new break for your wallet.
Eat like a king who's on a budget.
Wendy's are already offering their own $5 rival deals.
They have no choice. They see how the other one moves. They have to move the exact same way. But again, your favorite local restaurant, there's no replacement for that. There's no other option for that. And speaking of, To Pimp a Butterfly, you can't copy and paste it. Let's talk about that. Let's stay there. Let's stay there because I hate the way people talk about this album. I hate it. And it goes back to reading comprehension. I hate the way people discuss this album. Drake says it on Family Matters. He says, Kendrick is always rapping like he's trying to get the slaves freed.
Always rapping like you about to get the slaves free.
Like, I believe when Drake hears this album, this is what he hears.
Struggle is up, brother. Oppression is up, brother. My name is Dewey. Oh, ba ba ba. Ooh, mama say, mama say, mama kusa. Jenkins.
Nigga, what?
He thinks this album is Django Unchained, and that's a problem. Like, that's an issue. Kendrick only really had maybe 2 or 3 songs where he talks about some of the police brutality issues going on in America. And yes, there's black themes all over because it is the black experience. But this album is really a Kendrick Lamar experience. When you listen to a song, How Much a Dollar Cost? How Much a Dollar Cost is about Kendrick Lamar being in Africa. He's at a gas station trying to fill up his luxury car, and a homeless man asks him for $1. And Kendrick is like, no, please get away from my car. But the homeless man is very persistent. He keeps insisting, hey, can I have $1? Kendrick is like, yo, I want to take a bat and swing it at his neck. Right? He says that in the second verse. The third verse is this internal conflict that Kendrick has in his head. Eventually, that homeless man, he reveals himself. He's actually God. And that $1 cost Kendrick Lamar his spot in heaven. That's what the song is about. That is insane. And I will do a video talking about this album from track 1 to track 16 because it's really astonishing how many people are missing the plot of this album. And the beauty of an album like this is it has a lot of replay value because there's so much to pull from it, right? Again, I could say the same thing about Taylor Swift Folklore. There's so much lyrical value and substance to pull from. It keeps you coming back. And that was very fun back in the day because I don't know if y'all can see this, but this is Earth, Wind & Fire's The Eternal Dance. This is a Sade Greatest Hits album. This is Usher's Confessions. This is Jay-Z's The Black Album. This is Outkast, Aquemini. There's a million other albums, Miles Davis, James Brown, Mary J. Blige, Madonna, The Beatles, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica. I can go on for days. My dad has a CD collection, over 150 CDs. I need y'all to put that in perspective. Back in the day, my dad would take me to Towers Records. Towers Records. I remember the smell of Towers Records. And think about it. Now we have streaming. We can skim through an album, see what we do like, what we don't like, but we have to make no investment whatsoever because we're already giving our money to Spotify and Apple Music. But back in the day, you had to do that. You had to look for an album, buy it, and you're paying $10 or $13, not knowing if you're going to like the album or not. So that is why you needed a great return on your investment. And the only way you get that is by listening to it. That's the key. Or burning a CD so your homie could listen to it. And that's why back in the day, they would play the same albums over and over and over again. Streaming has oversaturated music to the 10th degree. And back in the day, as an artist, you had to put your all into an album, because if that shit was trash and I spent all that money on it, you're not getting my sale the next time around. So you got no choice but to drop a classic right now. And that created passion, not only with the artist and their albums, but also with the fan base and how they interacted with the albums. And you know what? The last thing I want to say, bro, it's cool. It's okay. I get that y'all want to party and have fun in music. That's awesome too. I like to do that. But don't knock the people that are obsessed with lyrics, trying to make it seem like we're corny or we're doing too much. Y'all doing too much. Y'all dick riding. Words and storytelling is powerful, and it is okay for people to escape reality and immerse themselves in the world that these musicians paint if they do it the right way. I think it's a very beautiful thing, and I think there's a lot of skills that come from it, which is why reading comprehension is important, which is why your attention span is important. You can call me what you want, because at the end of the day, you could try to sit here and be too cool for school, or you could sit here and try to be tough. But you know what? My homie Ponyboy from The Outsiders, he was involved in gangs, and he was out there whooping ass in the street. He was fighting all the time. But you know what? He wasn't too tough for a good poem.
Nothing gold can stay.
Where'd you learn that?
And that's beautiful. Stay golden, Ponyboy. Stay golden. Lastly, when you provide your fans with a lot of substance, yes, the fan base is going to be annoying because they're going to be very active. The funniest thing about this beef is that a lot of people are saying Kendrick is doing the most. All Kendrick Lamar did was put out 4 links. 4 links. 1 link to Euphoria, 1 link to Meet the Grams, 1 link to 616 in LA, and another for Not Like Us. Then he did the Juneteenth concert and a Not Like Us music video. That's it. That man has not said a word. He hasn't said a word, but his fans, they've said a million things because of the substance in his music. It's fitting, the only bit of content we have of Kendrick Lamar speaking out about anything is Kendrick at a college graduation speaking to the kids about education and the power of the mind and God.
Not only y'all have what it takes, but y'all have something even bigger. Y'all have the heart. Y'all have the courage to be independent thinkers. Independent thinkers. There's nothing more valuable than that.
And I hope I was able to provide a little bit of music education to you all today. My final message is, no matter how bubblegum or dumbed down music is today, do not downplay or mock folks who cherish lyrics and messaging in music, because it has always been and will continue to be a very important tool in music and in life. And that's my message. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. There will be more coming soon. And as always with my channel, we end off with a hug. Bring it in.
Roll their ass up like a fresh pack of Zion. City is back up, it's a must, we outside.